Welcome back to Drawing Me Out with Bill Willingham. I'm Bill Willingham, so it only makes sense that I'm the fellow in Drawing Me Out. Also with us, as always, is Brad Tomte. Say hello, Brad.
Hey, what's going on this time, gang?
See, he never does the obvious joke, which is, hello, Brad. See, say hello, Brad. Oh, okay. Anyway, I don't know which episode number this is because we're shooting a few of them at a time, and then Brad is going to decide after the first two which order they're going to go in. But we always have the little bit at the beginning of what's on the drawing board. This time, since last time, there's nothing on the drawing board because between this and the previous episode, I did not have time for drawing because very patient comic publishers and editors waiting for script from me were, let's just say, running out of that patience. Not entirely out, but I felt that maybe I should switch to getting some of that done.
Especially after your speech at the end of the Elementals episode.
What was that?
About getting who gets blamed for what. So.
Oh, yes. If it doesn't come out, it is my fault. When it's not my fault, it's my fault. And when it's my fault, it's my fault.
Right.
Now, it all kind of balances out. I was going to say karmically, but karma has nothing to do with it. Karma is you reap the rewards of this life in your next life. There's no such thing as instant karma. When we're talking about punishment for your sins in this life, it's nemesis all the way, baby. Nemesis, the Roman and or Greek goddess or god. Not all sources agree whether he was a she or she was a he. But that's the one that punishes you for your sins in this life. Nemesis is my... Wait for it. Nemesis.
Oh.
All right. So, since we have no new art to show, I'm going to show some old art. Just to give you an idea, I keep sketchbooks up. This is some of the kinds of things that will appear in a sketchbook. Do you recognize this guy?
I do recognize that.
I knew him a long time ago when he had hair on the top of his head.
That was from a convention when I was just sitting there. We were waiting for something. And
we were waiting for something.
You were doodling
I
away.
was in a mood to draw, and you actually said, so I'm going to be a villain, right? And I don't know. Did I ever use you as a villain?
You did.
In a book?
Well, I mean, it depends on everyone's take on Bluebeard.
Well, you're a villain in real life. Oh, right. Bluebeard.
Was he a villain or not?
So anyway,
yeah,
this is the kind of stuff I do. A lot of these sketches are done in pencil. And like here, for example, here are some pencil drawings of life drawing that then when I want to warm my inking hand up for work,
you just kind of go back and revisit.
Go back and
okay.
just ink to wake that hand up. So that's one of the things that hits the drawing board from time to time. Now look at this. This is a book from Silverline, which is the first book that they came out with that our Brad, did the logo for right here.
I was doing, still am doing some titling work or logo work for Silverline. It's a company that's been around since I broke into comics. It was Roland Mann who gave me some of my early comic work. And he's brought the title back, and we're getting things going, and I'm doing my part. The Silverline logo and the Kayless logo are both mine.
All right, so this and this.
You bet.
Good work, Brad. Now, that's our preliminary stuff. Let's get to work. Our subject this time is Robin, but it's not just Robin. It is the female Robin, Stephanie Brown, used to be called Spoiler, and that is why the name of this episode is I'm the one who killed Spoiler. Also, I'm not the one who killed Spoiler. Okay, how do we do that? First of all, some preliminary stuff. I had a run on Robin that started in... I have to look this up. It started in issue 121 of the Robin series and ended more than a year, less than 2 years later. Had a pretty good run on Robin, had a good time. When they called me out of the blue, Michael Wright, who was the editor of Robin, who was part of the vast Bat group of editors at DC, called me out of the blue and says, "Do you want to write Robin?" And I said, "Michael, I don't know. I like the character, but I haven't kept up with him recently. So I'm going to have to reacquaint myself with what's happened with him lately." And he goes, "Well, let me do that. I will send you the Incomplete Robin series." And he did. I started 121, so you can imagine the stack of books that came to me. And for 2 or 3 days, I just read. I read Robin. I read Robin in Dire Straits. I read Robin in Good Times and Bad Times, etc. I made the mistake of, when it was announced that I was taking over writing Robin, of mentioning that I hadn't kept up with him until I decided to take on writing. And that was immediately edited with the new phenomenon of trolling on the internet to Bill Willingham doesn't even read Robin and he's going to write it. So, okay.
Not that they need reasons to troll, but
not that they need reasons, but I
with.
should guard myself on providing them. So I took over writing Robin during the Tim Drake era, and one of the things they warned me about immediately is, we are going to kill off Stephanie Brown. So if you decide to take it, keep that in mind, that we've already got plans to kill her off. And I go, "Oh, that's too bad. Who's Stephanie Brown?" And then when all of the Robins came out and I caught up, and it turns out I'd let myself get quite far behind on the events of his fictional life, I found out who Stephanie Brown was, spoiler, and kind of an interesting character. And by the time I finished catching up, I was a little disappointed. I already agreed by that time. Okay, 3 or 4 dozen issues in, I said, "Yeah, I'll do it. Let me continue catching up." And then by the end, I'm saying, "Oh, Stephanie Brown, she's like a good character full of potential." The problem is, and I would say I don't mean this as criticism, but it obviously is that DC is one of those that went through a phase of, if they're running out of ideas editorially, kill a character. And it was her term on this time on the chopping block. I agreed in advance to do Robin, knowing that she as a supporting character was going to be removed. I did not yet know how, but I knew it was coming. So in that sense, it's not my fault. It was already decided beforehand we were going to kill Stephanie Brown. But it was my fault because I agreed to write Robin knowing that during my run, it's very likely that's when she's going to die. We'll get into more depth later. So my run on Robin was collected in Robin Unmasked, which you see here, to Kill a Bird. Someone created this title, and I know they were trying to do
To Kill a Mockingbird.
A Kill a Mockingbird kind of riff.
Yeah.
If they'd have asked me, I would have said, yeah, the rhythm is wrong. So I would have called it To Kill a Stalking Bird. But anyway, that is available as a collection. Robin Batgirl Fresh Blood. That's when Robin has an extended team up with Batgirl. I think it's 4 issues. 2 of which I wrote, and 2 of which Anderson Gabrick. I can never pronounce his name. Fine fellow, good writer. He was the Batgirl writer at the time. I was the Robin writer at the time. We switched off issues. Robin, Days of Fire and Madness. This is when I really began to have fun with the character and get to know him. I was doing Shadow Pact at the time, so that's why there's a little semi-informal crossover, because let's throw some Shadow Pact characters in. Do a little cross-promotion.
Excellent.
But also, Scott McDaniel took over. We had a lot of artists come and go. Scott McDaniel came in like a dream. I love his work, and Scott, if you're out there, if you ever want to work together again with a humble, poor writer who takes horrible advantage of great artists by riding their shoulders to fame, I'm down with it. Anyway, and I think that wrapped up my run on the Robin series. And during the time I was doing Robin, we did a vast Bat group crossover. called War Games, and the prelude to that was War Drums. And this is the events in which Stephanie, so there's War Games. I think this is book 2. There's a book 1, obviously. This is War Drums, the prelude to War Games. But all of that should be available either in your Amazon store or your local comic shop or however. If you do get these through the Amazon store, they're going to throw a few pennies our way because we're setting up, what is it called?
It's called
Brad?
an Amazon affiliate account. And our goal is to kind of use that to help monetize the channel and keep us in equipment and gear and drawing paper and leads for Bill.
Okay. And let me tell you, as far as monetizing this video, we're not greedy. We don't need to get rich, and we're not going to do 3 and 4 videos a day like some do. And God bless them that they can make a living off this. But this is a sideline. But we would like to get enough to kind of defray the direct expenses of doing this. So if you want to go look up Robin and find my run on it, you can find through our Amazon link. Our
Amazon affiliate.
Amazon affiliate.
Yep, links will be in the description.
Links will be in the description, he says. He promises, it happens. So because of this, and we're going to talk about Robin a little bit, I guess we already are, I'm going to draw Stephanie Brown, the female Robin, and tell you how this female Robin, Stephanie Brown, came about. Like many things in my career, it sort of came about as an accident. In this case, a happy accident and an unhappy accident, both. In those days, the Bat office, all the Bat books edited under a single, commander. The Bat office was commanded by Bob Schreck, old friend, fine editor. He was the guy. His assistant was Matt Idelson, whom I did not know beforehand, and turned out to be another one of those guys that's probably too nice to actually be in comics. As a matter of fact, Matt Idelson is no longer with DC. He's working at Dynamite Comics now. And Matt and I talk from time to time, and we're trying to find a project that we can do for the sole purpose of, I want to work with Matt again. It is a rarity to do work or seek work because of an editor you want to work with. Artists, letters, colors, I can understand all of that as like, oh, I got to work with this guy. Some of you who know some of my past pronouncements might know that I sometimes have problems with editors have too heavy a hand. There are some exceptions to that problem, and Matt Idelson was one of those. Just a fine fellow. Find out what he's editing at Dynamite Books and support that so that he becomes the guy. Off camera, Brad is already at work finding out what he's editing at Dynamite, and he's probably going to have that information.
That's what a good producer does.
Yeah. So, Bob Schreck, Matt Idelson ran the shop, and then my particular editor on Robin was Michael Wright, and he was an associate editor by that time. They have associate editor, assistant editor. They had a hierarchy, a rank, which you moved up amongst, and a lot of it depended on what books you were editing. I don't know if this is true, that you move from assistant to associate, but let's assume you do. To make that move from assistant to associate, it's how much experience you had, how long you've been with us, but also how many books you're editing. You have to edit a certain number of books as an associate, as opposed to the number of books you edit under supervision of your senior editor as an assistant. DC's going through changes, so who knows if that's still the case. Michael was the editor of Robin at that time, and he was the guy that hired me. I don't know whose idea it was to approach me. I believe it was Michael. I came to work writing Robin. One of the things they didn't tell me at that time was there was a new kind of high-profile limited series called Identity Crisis on the horizon. And one of the things that was going to happen in Identity Crisis, well, one of the things, a lot of the things were there were going to be deaths of supporting characters. Remember, DC will always go, not just DC, Marvel does it too, I assume some other companies. They'll always go to a big character death to drum up excitement for their books. I think that has limited value. If it ever did, I think that value is spent now. We've seen that already. Give us something else. But anyway, there were going to be some deaths in Identity Crisis, and the way it pertained to the Bat books is we had to cough up one semi or radically important character to Identity Crisis, figure out someone from the Bat books you're going to kill. It could not be Stephanie Brown because she was already doomed in the Batman War Games crossover. It wasn't actually named War Games at the time, but it was going to be a big crossover. As a matter of fact, one of the things I contributed to that big crossover was coming up with the title. But we had to come up with a body, and the editorial powers that be decided that Tim Drake was Robin at the time, and Tim Drake's had a father, a living father, dead mom, living father. Said, let's get rid of him. And I go, oh no, because as soon as I agreed to take over Robin, I started thinking, okay, what are we going to do with the character that are interesting? Now there's issue to issue interesting, and there is long-term interesting. And I was planning on being on the book long-term. I plan every book to be long-term. I'm much more comfortable with the sweeping saga than I am with the punchy, let's get her done right now. Oh my God, what a
like they call it on TV, issue. The big bad, the overarching storyline for a season or for a series.
Right, yeah. Right. You'll have your villain of the week, but you'll also have in the better TV shows the big bad of the season. Buffy, I don't know if Buffy the Vampire Slayer introduced it, but they sure rendered it an art form.
Oh, absolutely.
It was done as good as I've ever seen it done in the Veronica Mars series. The big case that took the entire season, in addition to the case of the week. And if you'll watch Veronica Mars, you'll see that the clues that pile up as the season progresses are all essential to solving that big case by the end of the season. Very, very well written series. So yeah, I'm more comfortable with the big saga. And so one of the things I was going to do was have Robin's dad find out that he's Robin and hit the ceiling, because gone are the days where you'd send children off to be cabin boys on warships, and yeah, they may get killed, but this'll make a man of them, plus provide him with a career, a home in the Navy. We don't do that. We don't send our children, per se, to war anymore. So the idea of a decent fellow finding out that his child is putting himself in danger doesn't sit well with him. So that was going to be the big arc. And I was very slowly, over a long period of issues, going to have Dad put the clues together and figure out that his son is Robin. But along comes Identity Crisis, and they say, nope, better wrap up any stories with Tim Drake's dad because he's doomed. And I said, but no, I've been setting this up for a long time. And their answer was, well, you can still do it. Just do it quickly. We had maybe a half a dozen issues before he was going to die. So I had to truncate the long issue by issue finding out about, first suspecting that he's up to something, then pinning it down. So instead, to truncate it, I did the old Dad finds the Robin costume and conveniently finds a full journal of Robin's activities in the hidden compartment in the back of his closet. Boy, did some of the readers howl there. And rightfully so. It was not the best way to go, but it was the way I had. I suddenly had like an issue in which to have it happen rather than a year of issues as I was planning. When it happens, the only real reasonable solution I can come up with is Robin, Tim Drake, quits. His dad doesn't want him being Robin. His dad is his dad. If he can't be Robin, he can't be Robin. So we have Robin quit. And then the powers that be at DC say, now this is a temporary thing, right? I go, well, yeah, come on. It's comics. Of course it's temporary. Everything's temporary. Probably even his dad's death, although it's not going to be temporary enough soon enough to do me any good. It occurs to me, I've never drawn a female Robin before. I wrote the series. I never drew it. I think I did some head sketches, doodles at conventions, but I never have. So Brad, somewhere in all of this, I think here are pictures of female Robin. I just want to get the costume right. Anyway, I know she's got a cape, so I'll work on that. So I come up with ideas like, okay, War Games is also coming up. Stephanie Brown is doomed. Stephanie Brown as a character, I believe created by Chuck Dixon and very well written by... Oh, perfect. Got it. But leave that open, like face down so that I can... Yeah. Her big thing is that she wanted, more than anything else, to be welcomed to the Batfold by Batman. Possibly even greater than her love of Tim Drake. So that was a character bit I wanted to take advantage of and explore. Is like, she loves Tim Drake and supports that Tim can no longer be Robin. But she also knows that the position of Robin is now open. What does she do? She tries out to become Robin, of course. So I bounced this idea off of Michael Wright, and he said, well, no, we can't do that. They would never go for it. Stephanie Brown's going to die. She cannot die as Robin because with the whole Jason Todd thing, we've already had a dead Robin, and that doesn't sit well with folks. We cannot have another dead Robin. I go, yeah, but, what if we let her be Robin for a while and then get her out of the costume by the time she has to die in the War Game stuff? And he goes, I don't know. New editors are more reluctant to try things than old seasoned editors. For one thing, because as with any really big corporation, the corporate culture is not screwing up is more important than succeeding. We'll talk about that more at a later date, because don't take from this that Michael Wright was not a bold editor. He was just cautious. He was not the big man on the totem pole. Well, we're all in town in New York during those days at the conference for working out the details of War Games, the big all Bat Universe crossover. And one night we're having dinner at the Texas Chili Company, which is just across the street from DC offices and just next door to the David Letterman Theater. And we're having just wonderful, I'm having a lamb chili burrito, something like that. But Bob Schreck is there, and he's in a convivial mood. And I say, Bob, let me turn Stephanie into Robin for a little while, because that's all she really wanted out of life. Let's give her one good shining moment before the doom settles in. And Bob Schreck goes, will you have her out of the costume by the time she dies? And I go, yes, sir. I will have her out of the costume by the time she dies. And he goes, sure, do it. I hated going over Michael Wright's head, but he was there too. He was subject to the conversation. And his attitude was, okay, I was a little iffy here, but if the head guy says do it, let's do it. So we were off to the races. I was going to be able to put Stephanie Brown in the Robin costume for a while, just as long as she screwed up in some way and got fired by the time she had to die. Let me set the record straight on one thing. I get a lot of credit for making the first female Robin. That credit is undeserved. Frank Miller made the first female Robin in The Dark Knight Returns, which preceded this book by years. And some people say, well, yeah, but that was kind of an imaginary story, and besides, that doesn't happen until years from now. Therefore, Stephanie is the first female Robin. I go, okay, in the fictional timeline, yes, but I wasn't the trailblazer there. If you want to give anyone credit for making a female Robin, please give it to Frank Miller. He earned it. He deserves it. So anyway, we had a female Robin, and in the first issue in which she appeared, it was a full figure thing, and she made a big splash. It went off like gangbusters. So well, in fact, that I stupidly got my hopes up, because I said to all the Bat people and anyone who would listen, look at this. The female Robin is an unqualified hit. It's getting lots of media attention, etc., etc. Let's save her from these war games saying we can come up with someone else for the chopping block and ride this for a while and see if it's got legs. And they said, no. Plans are already locked in. Get her out of the costume in time to die in War Games. So I did. I had her fired. That was the plan all along. I wanted to explore what happens to someone who, heart in the right place, intelligent, but actually too much intelligence sometimes makes you do stupid things, because she tries to win Batman's attention back, his admiration, and so she decides to solve one of his cases. And she goes into the files and finds all these war game simulations that he's worked out. and doesn't understand that there's simulations, that Batman prepares for every eventuality, no matter how remote. Sort of like the Pentagon. When the president comes to the Pentagon and says, "What's our plan for invading Canada?" They cannot answer, "Sir, we would never invade Canada." They would have to answer, "Sir, here's what we've got right now." And they would have, I swear to you, on my sainted mother's grave, the Pentagon has a plan, should we need to invade Canada. That's the nature of wargaming. Like wargaming on a military tactical level, not on a gaming level. So she mistakes one of these fictional what-if scenarios from Batman as something he wants accomplished and launches Operation War Games or Operation whatever, and causes lots of problems. And there we're into war games. Stephanie gets fired. She becomes spoiler again, so that we don't have another dead Robin. Didn't work in the sense that the readership says, "No, that ain't gonna fly. She was Robin, therefore you have another dead Robin." So that's my fault. I assured them that there would be no more dead Robins because she'll be spoiler again. I was wrong. But I didn't plan to get rid of Stephanie Brown. That was preordained. So, yes, I went along with the killing of Robin, or Stephanie Brown, reluctantly. But no, I wasn't the one who did it, even though, because of the war games, a bunch of different Bat writers all in one room. And when finally the whole thing was mapped out and we were deciding who does what issues, and because of that, some people are doing weird issues like, okay, you're writing Batman this month. And so I got to write Batman a few times and this and that. I forget which issue it is, but I actually did write the issue in which we killed Robin. So yes, I killed Robin. But honestly, folks, it's not my fault. I was following orders. That's how I did kill Stephanie Brown. I didn't kill Stephanie Brown. That's the best case I could make. And now the case goes to the jury.
Exactly. Let us know in the comments below. Did he or didn't he kill her?
Yeah. In any case, my one ever real Robin drawing is almost done. I'm going to wrap it up here in the little speeded up part. And this will be available in our eBay store, Brad, for sale. Yep. Possibly my one and only ever drawing of Stephanie Brown as Robin.
Link will be in the description down below. For most of these eBay auctions, they're going to go up, and the plan right now is either 7 or 10 days, just so you guys know ahead of time. And if this is something that's big in your comic book fandom, then this is a shot.
In any case, thank you for joining us. Please, please, please hit the angry red button down below, which says you're a subscriber. That is the coin of the realm, according to my understanding of how this YouTube thing works. Like us, talk us up to your friends, and if you dislike us, of course, talk us up to your enemies.
And of course, hit the notification bell so that you get an email every time we put a new one up. Our goal is once a week to get you some cool sketches looking at and listening to our voices.
And as always, in the comments below, not only can you comment, but you can ask us questions to address in future videos. You can suggest subjects for sketching for future videos, or anything else that would be helpful.
Excellent. And as always, Bill is going to draw us out. Thanks so much.
That went pretty well.